To perform the deadlift, what we need to try and make sure we understand is the difference between what a deadlift is and what a squat is. When we're trying to squat, we're trying to evenly distribute the load 50-50 between our knees and our hips. However, when we deadlift, we are proportionally shifting a little bit more towards our hips. So you can see here in this start position before I lift the bar from the floor, there is more pressure gone towards the hip than there is to the knee. So as a general rule, we call it 70-30 or 80-20. If we are just simulating a squat-based movement with the bar coming from the floor, then there is no benefit to doing a deadlift from the ground. What we want to try and do is make it a little bit more in the direction of what is termed a hinge pattern, and hence that means putting more pressure towards the hips. To set up for this position, you effectively just load your hips back. So one of the cues that we use commonly is, imagine you're just trying to close a door with your bum, and keep your chest tall to the point where you feel like you're about to lose balance, and then you turn it into a squat. So you are loading your hips first and then squatting down until your hands can reach the bar. You'll see here, this is the position you want to end up in. You want to end up with your knees basically in your elbow pits. So that is in contact here. There is no gap between my knee and my elbow or my forearm at this point. My hip is just above where my knees are, and I have a relatively even distribution of weight across my feet. You may have heard a cue in the past of people saying you need to drive towards your heels when you're doing a deadlift. This is incorrect. You still want an even distribution of weight, especially at this very first part of the lift. This is a hip training exercise and a spine stabilizing exercise. This is not a spine training exercise. We don't want the spine to move. And I'll show you here from the side what I mean. So when we set up here, this bottom position, this is what's happened. I'm loading the weight into my hip musculature and my spine is staying straight throughout the movement. So as I stand up, the spine stays straight, the spine does not move, but I am rotating through my hips and pushing the floor away from me until I am stood upright. We'll go back to the other video so you can see. I push the floor away to stand up straight, and you will see sometimes people overly leaning back when you get towards the top. You don't need to worry about that either. And when you lower back down, you want to just control it back to the ground. It is beneficial to reset at the bottom of each rep rather than doing what's called a touch and go repetition, which you can do, but I wouldn't suggest doing that in the early stages. I would suggest just getting used to placing the bar on the floor, resetting in between each of the reps, pushing the floor away in a controlled manner till you're stood up at the top. How you stand up is basically what you want to do, but with the barbell. If you look at the similarities between those two things, standing up with a bar, standing up without a bar. It's the same thing, but you're doing it with added load.